Man, gotta be cut to type.
Yeah, type. Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Welcome to the Fly With Us podcast. This podcast is bringing the art of conversation, self-love, self-care, mental health care and protection, life lessons,
And
love lessons,
everything
and everything in between. I'm Lady Bounce.
And I am a slate.
All right. Before we start, we got to tell you where to find us. We're on Instagram now.
Instagram.
We're on Twitter.
Twitter.
We are on Facebook.
Facebook.
You can email us at flywithusla@gmail.com. Holla at your girls. Today, we're going to talk about the toils of parenthood and respect. Don't make that face. So there's a saying that says, I never knew how strong-headed I was until I had to argue with a miniature version of myself.
Uh-huh.
As a mother of a teenage girl and a teenage boy, I feel like I argue with myself almost every day.
I do too. And my kids are even my adult kids. I can see myself in them. Yeah, I can hear myself.
You hear yourself.
I can hear myself.
So how do you handle respect when you have to argue with the miniature version of yourself?
I'll stick with the toils.
The toils.
It's finding out how to handle it, because I found myself, honestly, I found myself arguing with them, going back and forth with my oldest son. And one of my sons, my third son, says a lot. I say, well, you being disrespectful. You're not respecting me. He said, you're not respecting me. And then the control freak in me is like, what do you mean? Because
right.
We come from the place where you don't talk back. You don't get a choice. You don't have an opinion. But then we tell them, yes, you do have an opinion.
Right.
Yes, you should be able to speak. So I'm trying to figure that one out. But what I've learned in the last week or two is surrender and control. I'm not fighting with them with that. Like I'm the parent. I say what I need to say. I don't go back and forth with them. Once it's out there, let them meditate on that. I'm gonna do what I gotta do, and
right.
When it's about communication, communicating with them. But go ahead. Let's see where we're gonna take this.
I mean, for me,
I want to hear what you say.
For me, I struggle with a lot of the same thing. I come from an era from parents, from grandparents who it is my way or no way.
Yeah.
I am the alpha and the omega, and you are somewhere in between.
I was that parent too.
So I come from that kind of upbringing. So when it comes to dealing with my own children, I find it very hard to allow myself to be disrespected. I'm very on top of, you will not disrespect me. This is my house. I run my house. I pay the bills, and you should just be thankful that I allow you to live here. Now, with that being said, I've also taught my children how to be headstrong and have an opinion, to think for themselves.
We created those monsters.
Yes, I definitely created the monsters. And having a teenage girl who is trying to find her way in the world and being headstrong and having all of this knowledge. And it's almost, in some ways, she's too smart for her own good.
That's what they say, but is that possible? It's just a cliche.
Is it just a cliche, or is it maybe she is too opinionated for her own good?
How can you ever be too opinionated?
Because of not ever in life, but at the stage of her life that she's in right now, she's not allowed to have an opinion.
Why?
I won't say she's not allowed to have an opinion. She's allowed to have an opinion, but I also have a right to say your opinion doesn't mean anything because I run this.
But why doesn't it mean anything?
Because there are just some things that are what they are.
So this is where I get twisted. This is where it gets confusing for me.
Right.
You're not talking about respect. You're talking about control.
It in a lot of ways it is control. And
we can't.
No, we cannot control them. We cannot control their actions
control
and their
anyone
reactions.
but us.
But I can control how much of your control I
You can
allow.
control how much you engage in that.
Right.
If
I
you
can control
feel-
how much of your control I feed into or fight with.
See, and this is what I've been doing with my son.
Right.
I'm gonna say this because this is what I believe and what I've walked 41 years through and know to be true and to work. I'm gonna say this to you. I'm gonna give you these tools. Do what you must with them.
Right.
Use them if you will, and I'm gonna go on about my day. Ever since I done start doing that, I'm gonna tell you, Lady Bounce, we ain't having no problem. They going to play basketball. They doing their chores. They still wearing them hoodies I don't like that stank. They still ain't combing their hair. They still ain't caring about how they present themselves to the world.
Right.
They still don't want to know how things really work outside of the house, but they will get to know. That's where I'm at with that thing.
Right.
As long as you not going back and forth with me, arguing with me, doing this, that, and the other, I'm not putting no more energy into it. Because I know, well, you know how they say, I know I taught you better than that.
Right.
I know I did, but it's another thing our parents said is you got to bump your own head before you know. Give them time to grow. We can't expect them to be 40-something at 15, 16, 17. We can't.
No. And I don't think we should. However, I also agree with doing as you're told, whether you agree with it or not. So if I tell you to do something, I don't care if you like it.
Okay.
I don't care if you agree. You're going to do what I said because I said to do it. Now, I respect you might grumble and groan about it, and you have a right to do that. But you're going to do what I said because I said do it.
See, because my issue with, depending on, now I can get, do your chores. Oh, sometimes it's a struggle with the talking. My issue with respect with one of my kids is that opinion has to be heard, and he is in a stage where he can see both sides, but no matter what you say, I'm only believing this is how I feel, and that is all that matters. And when I hear that, I hear me. Okay. I hear me, and I'm learning to in loving myself, don't keep battling with him.
Right.
He has his own truth. He has his own beliefs. All I gotta do is keep giving him the tools and what I know. You know, I mean, I ain't got time. Yeah, I said it. As far as that child going back and forth, I don't have time to keep fighting with that with him.
But you, boy, I'm living my best life.
I mean, and even the issue of him talking back and forth, I've even learned to people can call it what they want. Certain subjects, I don't even touch it with that child. Like if we talk about today, we were talking about businesses not supporting each other, and why with four small businesses, four small black owned businesses that offer the very same service, within what they all in the same block,
right?
Okay, they right in the same block within walking distance of each other. Why would they do that and compete with each other? You're a small business. You barely got your feet on the ground good. The ones I've seen come here, it's not gonna work. He said, well, that's not how economics work. And I'm thinking, how the hell do you know what bill you done pay, what business you done start?
Right.
But do I keep going with him trying to explain it? Yeah, I did. Well, listen, why don't they all offer something different, and then everybody eats and the business can build, and then we all still got a firm foundation in the community, and we still doing what we need to do to keep moving, right?
Right.
But why would we all do the same thing and then we all crumble, we all fall?
Right.
Why does it always have to be black?
Black people don't support each other. Well, if you doing hair and she doing hair, I'm confused. Who am I supposed to go to?
Yeah, and then his next thing is, why do we always have to be about black people? I said, listen, there's some things you are going to find out for yourself. Maybe you will, maybe you won't when you're a little bit older, and I can't right now force you to see what I have seen, and I let it go. He's not disrespecting me because he keep talking. I'm disrespecting my damn self for carrying on, knowing his mind is not mature enough to open up to even hear what I'm saying. But I am mature enough, and I'm thinking to myself enough to let that be.
Right.
To just let that be. So would it be disrespectful if he talking back? No, his opinion should be heard. Is he wrong for feeling the way he feel? No, because he don't know no better yet.
Right.
So is it control or disrespect sometimes? What's the difference? Is it an issue of respect or control? That's just my little tangent there on that.
I think it depends on the context in which it's being displayed. My daughter, I find it disrespectful if I tell her no to something, that she would go to my husband and ask him the same thing after I told you no.
Did you ever do that?
Never.
In any situation in your life?
No, not at all.
Any situation in your life? Come on.
No, listen. When it came to my parents, absolutely not. Because the way that my parents ran our house and the way that my dad was aware our end all. For example, I asked my daddy something. My daddy said no. I knew not to go ask my mother. My father was the man of our house, and if daddy said no, I dare you to go ask mama. That's the quickest way.
Is this your mama and your daddy house?
No, it's not.
Well, there you have it.
But
you are not your mama and your daddy.
No, I'm not my mom and my daddy.
And our kids are not in that same era, no matter how you want to try to put it.
Right. But to me, I would find it disrespectful in a sense that my place in your life is to give you the tools to help you, to teach you, to rear you, to what have you. So if you ask me something and I tell you no, or I say I don't agree with this, to me, I feel it is though you are undermining my authority by going to ask your father.
No,
and if your father doesn't know that I said no, like if you don't tell him, hey, daddy, I want to go to this dance, but mama said I can't go.
If she do that, she knows she gonna get a no. You gave her the tools. You helped her become creative and clever in her approach to conversation and getting what she wants.
Exactly.
Remember, you said in the very beginning of this conversation, you helped create this monster.
Oh, absolutely.
And I'm calling all our kids little monsters right now. So whoever wants to judge me for that, judge me for that. I got some monsters in my house, okay? But I ain't scared, okay? But yeah, so I mean, it's growing pains, but we want. Here's the thing. What difference does it make? Is it really gonna hurt if daddy gives it to him? Or even for dad, is it really going to hurt? You know, what's the real harm in that?
It depends. I think in some ways,
what can happen?
Depends on what it is. If she asks to go somewhere and I say no, and she asks her father and he not know that I said no, and he says yes.
Now this is what I want to know though.
So then he says yes. She goes to whatever this is. And God forbid something happens to her.
This is what I want.
Right.
So let's not talk about I'm mad because I said no and you said yes. No. So stop worrying about the no and the yes. Let's get to look. I'm concerned about what dangers might be present. Not that you undermining my authority, because I'm the boss and I'm in control. I have to be the authoritative figure right here, and that's all that matters. No, what matters is that you are safe. This is an issue of control, not respect.
There are other issues. I mean, without,
we are control freaks.
Not necessarily. Yeah. Now there are times where it is about control, but there are other times where it is simply about respect. You raising your voice at me, disrespectful.
Definitely.
You talking back to me after I've given you an answer, disrespectful. Definitely. If I tell you no, don't you dare come ask me again.
Are we mirrors?
What do you mean?
Are we mirrors? Are we reflecting? Are we reflective of each other? If I start raising my voice right now, I guarantee you, yours will raise right with me when you are ready to be heard. If I continue to talk in this tone, you will probably do the same thing. You know
exactly.
Why?
So when it comes to my child, if I'm talking to you with an even tone and you come back at me and your voice is raised, your chest is out, you're hyperventilating because you are so adamant about whatever it is that your point is.
Or raised right with her or him?
At first, my tone will probably be the same because more likely I'm going to be like, who are you talking to? why are you raising your voice at me? And then if it continues, then it does kind of become this whole,
you know why? Because you feel I'm speaking for myself. I'm hearing myself in this situation. So I'm not saying you, Lady Bounce, but I know why. I now listening to you, I can hear, right?
I
would know why my son's voice would go up when I'm talking, listening, because he's mocking what I'm doing, and I done lost control, and now he feels like he's in control of the situation because he's standing and he's loud. Right. So if I just stay right here, because I'm in full control of myself, and I know exactly what the goal is. The goal is that your little tail ain't going. And you about to do these dishes, and you gonna sit down, and I'm gonna have a great day. So you go ahead, do what you need to do. Peace, mama out. Watch what happens. It's hard, because I told you it's only been about a week. It's only been about a week. Last week the kid went to school choked out. The week before last was pretty bad, but it was extreme what he did. But yeah. I don't think. Do we set boundaries in what we need to be, what we need to have to make us feel respected? Are we respecting ourselves? Are we showing? Are we doing what we expect of our children?
I believe so. I believe when I look at how I was raised, and this is not to say that I was raised terribly. Like, I don't want that connotation to be out there.
Can for a second, can we not look at how you was raised and look at how you are?
And that's the thing,
because your kids ain't seen how you was raised. My kids ain't seen that I grew up in the projects and we had roaches.
So no, my kids didn't get to see how I was raised. However, I am a product of how I was raised, and therefore, when it comes to raising and rearing my children, it can't help but to bleed over. Some of the things that I was taught, some of the things that I was told, you can't help but to give that to your children, to bleed it over in one way or another.
But your children only know that is you and your teaching. So if it's really not you and your teaching.
And that's the thing. When it comes to rearing your children, you only got one or two options. You're going to either do exactly what your parents did, good, bad, or otherwise, or you're going to do the complete opposite of what your parents did, good, bad, or otherwise.
The third option is what you are doing. So stop. Let's take our teacher hat out for a minute and be real. You are doing a combination of the two, just like I am, just like most people are.
Like most people are. And so
it's not exactly the opposite of whichever.
With me giving them, in my case, I give them both. I'm teaching them the things that were taught to me.
You're instilling those values and traditions,
showing them things the opposite of what I got growing up that I did not like about my growing up. So what you
have done, that I hear, and what I did too, is you gave them a choice. I showed you this and I gave you this. You want the red pill or the blue pill, baby? I'm going to put them both together and see how that works. Or I'm going to choose this one. Now you're going to say I gave you a choice, but you can't choose.
I don't know if it's...
You just said it.
No. I didn't give them a choice. I gave them pieces of what I got growing up. And then I did not give them the pieces of what I didn't like about growing up. So when I think about my children and how they are and how they think, act, and behave, genetically, they got some things just because genetically it is there. When it comes to the rendering piece, those things that you teach children, they got a combo of the both.
But you gotta remember, everybody learn different. Everybody respond different. Your parents taught you some stuff, but you still do. One of the biggest toil of parenthood that I'm hearing from us, and we would love to hear you respond, because this is a heavy walk. We talking about respect, but we talking about the toils of parenthood at the same time. Can we even put those two things together? Does me being a parent mean just I'm the boss, or is it more to it than that? I mean,
I think it depends on what it is, and in some cases, and
then we have to remember, even though these are our children,
Right.
These are still individuals that will grow up to be men and women with their own mind and their own
And they
way.
will. And that is fine. But in the meantime, in between time, before you get to that point where you get your own mind and you can make your own decisions, we as parents have the right. We also have the responsibility to make the decisions for them.
So that responsibility, let's focus more on let's focus more on that responsibility and making the decisions for them. Let's see. We're gonna have to lighten this thing up. We need questions. We need feedback. We need comments, because this thing is. We're gonna have to do a part 2 of this, because there's more. There's more to this. But in the meantime, I think my issue here is control. My thing is control, because that's what happens in my house. What's going on over there sometimes. And then Lady Bounce's issue is straight up respect. I'm the boss. You're gonna respect me. Do what I say. I love you, and I want the best for you, and I don't want you to be walking around feeling imprisoned by me. But at the same time, you're not about to run wild like a chicken that just snuck out the coop in the cage.
Not
okay,
run wild.
Did I get that right?
I think in a lot of ways, yes, but for me, I think some of it is control, and I mean that I cannot lie about, that I cannot deny. But there are some things that are just respect.
Okay. Here's the fun part.
What?
When your child go outside, do you got a disrespectful child? Any of them?
They don't disrespect other people, but they are disrespectful to me.
Interesting.
Yeah.
We're going to leave that right there and carry on next week, because that's my thing too. They're not disrespectful. And what is this? What is respect? This is heavy. So that's something for us to think about, because when we talking about first loving yourself,
right,
we got to worry about ourselves first. What is it that makes you feel, or I feel, that we're being disrespected, or that even makes parenthood tedious? That's in the meantime. Let's move over here for a minute, because we got kids trying to fly the coop. they trying to be free and grow up. So we're gonna do a little bit of talk about some self-care.
Okay.
So the other day, I've been chasing this eagle, or this eagle been chasing me. Let's be clear, baby. This eagle been chasing me, and I've been trying to get a hold of his feathers. I've been going over to, that earring wanted to fly free. There's some flying going on. First love yourself. I went over to Caroline Park and saw those eagles, but instead of people watching, let's mind our own business and talk about some self-care this week. Before I go to that self-care, no, let's go ahead. Let's start bird watching, baby. Join me. Join me, and let's start bird watching for your self-care this week. Bird watching doesn't necessarily involve a lot of time and work. All you have to do is walk by the window and happen to notice your feathered visitors. Yes, baby. You can watch and enjoy them for a moment and then move on with your day. What matters most is that you took a moment to let your mind move towards something more pleasant. Mm-hmm. Relaxing for even a few minutes can be a wonderful shot in the arm to a dreary day or a heavy day with your kids. If you want to find some binoculars, pull up a chair and get more out of the experience, because there's nothing wrong with that either. You might decide to put up a bird feeder or make you a birdhouse. A flock of birds enjoying the food and shelter you've left out there for them is a soothing sight. So get outside and start bird watching instead of people watching. Get out of your mind and remember that not even the birds and the bees are worried about tomorrow. Okay?
I like to feed the birds in my backyard, and like I throw out food like bread or something, and I like to watch them gather. I also watch the hierarchy, if you will, between birds, between who gets to the food first, who gets to eat it. There are 4 different types of birds that frequent my backyard, and so to watch these 4 different,
I've seen those cardinals back there,
right? So watch these 4 different species of birds, if you will, to eat the food that's out there, and how they move in regards to the food. It's
something
amazing to
my
watch.
mind over here hearing hierarchy, and I'm thinking in 4 different birds, and I'm thinking father, mother, son, daughter, and how they move and work together and how it
Absolutely.
works. So I don't know, it's just the way my mind works. But for your mindfulness minute this week, we're going to talk about understanding how karma works.
Yes.
My mama used to tell me everything you did to me gonna come back to you tenfold when you had kids. And oh man, I must have been a bad child. No, my kids are not that bad. The mindfulness minute for this week is understand how karma works. Karma is a far-reaching concept that has managed to filter into our society and into the everyday lives of even those who claim to have agnostic, indifferent, or atheist beliefs. It's an easy idea to accept and plant in even the deepest parts of our psyches. Even those who don't believe in reincarnation and in an afterlife of reward or punishment long to believe that the world around them is dictated by something other than chance or chaos. The Sanskrit word karma comes from a root that means to do or act. Karma is not punishment or revenge, as many in Western civilization have come to believe, but simply a consequence of one's actions. Hindu philosophy maintains that every action and every thought has a consequence that will show up in a person's life presently or in a succeeding one. But owning your actions and recognizing that they have consequences is a critical step in developing a healthy, fulfilling spiritual life. So know that when you dealing with your babies this week, understand that karma is real. Not nothing you done did in your past life. It could be something you doing right now. These babies are a reflection of who we are. Okay? So that's that. And now I got some good karma going on. All my feathers flying, earrings flying. I'm gonna go over here and look at Lady Bounce, my sister, because we got to get out of my mind and go up a little bit high on the hierarchy and check out our brain science.
Okay, so this week's brain science is going to talk about what does spanking do to the parent. Now, we know that there are a myriad of studies about what spanking does to children. But have you ever given thought about what spanking does to the adult, to the parent?
Used to say, this going to hurt me more than it hurts you.
Right. Did you ever believe that, really?
Yeah, that last time. Yeah, because I didn't cry, girl. I didn't cry. Go ahead.
Okay. So most parents, believe it or not, feel angry when they spank. An angry person is determined to assert control in a situation, and doing something physical feels like it will bring some relief. So spanking a child may make a parent feel temporarily righteous, back in control, or vindicated. It may give a parent the sense that they did not allow themselves to be victimized. When a parent feels they have no alternative but to spank, they are acting out of desperation. They don't know what else to do. It wasn't part of their original plan for relating to their precious child. Parents have to harden their hearts in order to follow through with the spanking. More often, a challenging situation that we've been trying to deal with sends us to a place where love cannot be felt. And in that moment, we feel our child has driven us to spank. It is their fault, not ours, that we have decided to lay a hand on them. When a child is spanked, their limbic system, which is the emotional center of the brain, goes into an alarm mode. The child's brain perceives danger and responds accordingly. The long-term effects of spanking have been debated for years. More spanking equals negative behavior for the child. So, being solution-oriented, you know how we do. What is a parent to do instead? We parents need more support than we get. It's not right that we must repeatedly face parenting issues that drain our patience without any idea of how to find help. It's not right that there is no dependable way to restore our emotional balance when we're beyond frustration. Spankings point to our need for more help, more kindness in our own lives, and less worry about our futures and the futures of our children. We parents need to listen to each other's stories, hear each other out. We need to share our frustrations and exhaustions. We need to offer each other support and appreciation for what we do well. We need someone we can trust to hear us out without judgment during our desperate moments. The difference that the chance to be listened to makes is remarkable. We need them to move closer to our children instead of attacking them for their issues.
Yes.
And I believe that you and I do a lot of that. We do a lot of conversations about our children. And it is judgment free. When I'm telling you that I love my children, and I tell you that they are my greatest joy and my greatest frustration in one package, you're never judgmental about that. You fully understand.
I'm right there.
Because you are right there. And the expectation that people have of me sometimes, because I'm a teacher, it means that I just love children all the time.
We talked about
And yeah, we talk about that. And it's not true. I love children, but I don't love them all the time. The ones I work with frustrate me. The ones that I live with frustrate me. And it's important that we as parents have a safe place to be able to talk to somebody about that and that person not walk away and go, man, Slate is a terrible mom. Did you hear what she said about her son? No, you know what Slate is? Slate is human. You know what Lady Bounce is? She's human. And because you have these titles of wife, mother, teacher, aunt, cousin, whatever, it doesn't mean you stop having feelings as a result. So you need to surround yourself with people who understand the many hats that you wear and aren't judgmental when you're having a moment.
And stop
where you
being
don't
so
wanna wear one.
judgmental of yourself.
I mean, well, there's that.
Stop being so hard on yourself.
Yes.
You can only control you. Karma is real. And what my son told me, who's in the penitentiary right now, I know that I've done well with that boy, because he looked at me and said, Mama, I ain't worried. I said, you not? He said, no. When you do good, good come to you. I am about to fly on up out of here. We will continue this conversation. We thank you for flying with us as we learn to fly. Fly with us first. Love yourself. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter,
tweet.
and you can also listen to us on SoundCloud and watch video on YouTube. We flying everywhere, baby.
Everywhere.
you can email us.
You can interact with us, send us questions, show ideas. If it's something that you just feel like we touched on a part of it, but you had a little something you wanted to add to it, please email us at
Fly with us, FLY with WITH us, USLA at gmail.com. Fly with us, LA at gmail.com. I am a Slate, baby.
And I'm Lady Bounce.
And we out.
We out.
Tweet.